Hello, and welcome to Stories from the View, a podcast from the Pleasant View Senior Center in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. On this podcast, we invite East Longmeadow residents to tell us their stories about their lives and events. And today's guest is Jason Burgener. He's the Veteran Service Officer here at the Pleasant View Senior Center. He also works in Wales and Hampden. And your host this week is Mary Jenowin Kaplan.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, and thank you, Jason, for being our guest today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely our pleasure. So we are really appreciative that we have a veteran service officer based 3 days a week in East Longmeadow. I believe it is the custom that veteran service officers have served in the military. Tell us a little bit about your military career. What drew you to that, and where'd you end up?
Thank you. It's kind of funny. I was dared by my wife to join the military.
On a dare.
On a dare. So I'm from Connecticut originally. So the recruiting office is out of Hartford. Her friend actually picked me up and took me there to make sure I went.
Were you employed at this
I was
time?
employed. I worked for Bradley's.
Oh, okay. You were
now
working.
Bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. So I was married with child, and she dared me. I said, I'm sick of working at Bradley's, crazy hours and stuff. I'm going to go talk to a recruiter. And she was like, sure you are. And then I said, I'm going my next day off. So her friend picked me up, drove me to Hartford. It was around lunchtime, and the only recruiter that was in the office was the Coast Guard recruiter. So I talked to her, and I did my MEPS in Springfield.
And a MEPS is a
entry point for the military.
Okay.
So where you do your physical, you do your entry exam.
They made sure they wanted you.
Make sure they wanted me, and to make sure I was physically able to go in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short is pretty much that was probably 6 weeks later I was in the Coast Guard. And I did 25 years, 8 months, and 2 days. Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
And
ma'am.
were you based in the United States or Hawaii?
I was stationed in Boston, Maryland, South Carolina, North Carolina, Hawaii, and Alaska. Yes, ma'am.
Interesting.
So what happened was every 3 to 4 years, you fill out a dream sheet and you apply where you want to go. So if you go overseas, it's usually 2 to 3 years, but in the States, it was every 4 years.
And what was your job there?
The Coast Guard's kind of a little different. We have a job, but then we have other jobs we do. I was pretty much a cook, EMT, Master at Arms, which I was in charge of cleanliness of the ships. I was a command chief, so for the cutter. I retired at E8, so Senior Chief Petty Officer in the Coast Guard, 2020.
Leadership
right
skills.
COVID.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, right before COVID.
Right before COVID. Yes.
Maybe that was good.
It was good. It was good. Yes.
And now you are here.
Yes, ma'am.
Helping other veterans.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've been with us 3.5 months.
Yes.
You're still smiling, and that's a good thing. What sort of background or training, or how do you know? I understand benefits and such are very complex. What do you help with, and how did you learn all this?
They are complex. I learn something new every day, which is good. I did a week of training last week for mass programs. Between now and Christmas, I'm working my federal programs qualification, but I'm helping people with their federal stuff now. It just takes me a little longer. If they're willing to sit down with me, I'm willing to help them.
And you'll learn, and they'll learn, and
yes.
It's kind of on-the-job training.
Yes, yeah. So I'm helping with people right now. I have clients or veterans or spouses of veterans or veteran family member. I'm helping them do claims, the PACT Act, which is new, the AFFF for the Navy, I'm just doing different programs, helping them, explain to them what it is, see if they qualify, and then filing their claim with the VA to start their benefits.
So give me a for instance. What's a claim? Why would someone come to you? Think about someone you've helped recently. Person X, veteran X.
Perfect. Perfect X could be someone who spouse, father, mother, daughter, sister, brother passed away, and they came say, hey, the grave marker's wrong. Okay, cool. We fill out a form, take care of it. I fax it for them, get a new one in, delivered a new one to the cemetery for them, destroy the old one, and then they put the new one in for them.
And it's not just the veteran cemetery. It could be any cemetery.
Yes, any cemetery. It could be a veteran cemetery. Anyone in the towns I work in, that's who I help.
So if people live in East Longmeadow, Hampden, or Wales, they can come to the senior centers on the days you're there. Yep. Do they make appointments?
Yes. Right now we're doing appointment only because I'm still learning the job, and I don't want you to have to come to my office and wait a little time if I'm dealing with someone else's problems. And
you can also be prepared.
Yes.
So that is a good thing. So what about like health benefits I bet every day is a new adventure.
Every day is a new adventure. Not next week, but the week after, I'm bringing up one of my veterans from East Longmeadow to Worcester to Gardner back to East Longmeadow because they don't have a ride, and the rideshare program was not available for that time of day he needs. So I'm doing that for him.
And he's going for a medical appointment, visiting family, or what?
It's a medical appointment for his disability claim.
So not only pushing the paperwork, but also providing hands-on help when needed.
Yes. I have 4 or 5 clients in East Longmeadow itself that I drive to their house. And if I got to pick up forms, drop off forms, help them find forms they need, or just talk to them to see how they're doing.
So you can do a home visit and provide your services where the veteran is.
Yes, ma'am.
Are all of the veteran, what is it, World War II, Korea, Vietnam? What ages of veterans have you seen in our town?
It's a spectrum. 92 to, I think, 31. It's a spectrum. Because you have the new, it's not new, but mental health issues for people coming out. So it's a spectrum of people, ages I've seen.
Mm-hmm. But what a wonderful resource.
Yes.
You are for those. Do you, have you started to cooperate or communicate with other veteran service officers or the people at the Leeds Veterans Hospital or Bond Street or?
My first week in the office here, I didn't really have computer access. So I did, so I did networking. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to not local, but VSOs in the area, veteran service officers in the area. I reached out to the Veteran Center in Springfield. Mm-hmm. So I went there. I went there they have a luncheon. I went there for a luncheon, and I went there for training. I've been to Veterans Day at the park in Granby, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was Granby. And I did the one here in the center of town here that we did a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a great, very moving ceremony.
Yes.
That we do every year here in our own town. Excellent. So what advice would you give to someone if they knew a veteran who perhaps was struggling or confused about something? What should we tell them?
Reach out to me. Don't wait. Reach out to me sooner than later.
And how do they find you?
I can give you my phone number is at the senior center here is 413-525-5436, extension 1416. And I'm in the office Monday, Tuesday, Friday from 9 to 4. And then I'm in my other towns the other 2 days.
Absolutely. Well, we have Veterans Day coming up. And are there ceremonies honoring that in our town and neighboring towns, veterans and their families, or interested good community citizens might want to attend?
Yes, there. Wales is Tuesday at noon. Hampden is Thursday morning.
This is a test. Yeah, you're doing well.
And 5 o'clock here at the Senior Center is ours in East Longmeadow. Veterans Day, unfortunately, they're all at 11 o'clock, so I can't make all of them. So my first one, I'm going to do Wales, I think. And then I'm going to divvy my time up for the Memorial Day and Veterans Day to the other towns next year.
Popular time, so
Yes, ma'am.
folks book that early.
Yes.
And we'll hope for good weather, of course.
Yes, ma'am.
As always. You mentioned mental health. Tell me what resources there are or what you see, because we know it's a huge crisis, but we don't hear a lot about what is available in the resources.
Pretty much if someone comes and talks to me about it, I listen to them, I take down their information, I refer them to go to the vet center. They are professional counselors with that, and I try to get them there. If they need a ride, I would bring them. I tell them to keep going to their doctors, go to your doctors, do not miss your doctor's appointments. And I just there for them, and I follow up to see how they're doing.
So you provide a helping hand
Yes.
to ensure they get the help they need and get to where they need to be.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Can you think of any other reasons? We've talked about health. We've talked about problems with grave markers. Are there veterans benefits? Do veterans receive financial support at all? Do people have problems with that? Have you experienced that yet?
Yes. My program is Mass Chapter 115. It's for low-income veterans. I try to get them on my program or try to increase their disability benefits so they're able to day-to-day activities and be able to afford to live where they're at without having to move and stuff like that. There's other things we offer other than that, medical reimbursement. There's try to get them with the VA healthcare. It's not just that, it's for the family members. Hey, my dad's getting elderly, getting old. What does he need later in life? What do I can do to assist him? And I'm like, where's the DD-214? Because if they didn't join in mass, or it takes a while to find, it could take up to 3 months for the National Archive to get his DD-214. And if something happens to that veteran, he's probably going to need his DD-214.
So the message is this would be a good time to get your paperwork in order, find that one form, the DD-214,
Yes.
and be ready in case of emergency, because sometimes in crisis, you don't really have the wherewithal or the luxury of time to locate things.
Correct. Yeah. And have that conversation. Hey, where is your military paperwork? Is it in the safe? Is it in your junk drawer? Is it wherever it is, safety deposit box? This way so you're not having to look for it when you're grieving or you're trying to deal with other pressing issues. That's one less thing you have to worry about.
Which brings up a more lighthearted point, however, that veterans sometimes get discounts for things. And the DD-214, or is it the Massachusetts license for veterans? What do you need to get your, I don't want to mention that store with home repair items and sometimes restaurants on Veterans Day. What do you need to prove you're a veteran?
We won't advertise for them, but I know exactly what you're saying. DD-214 is what you need. You can also get it a veteran status put on your driver's license. When you go to renew your license, bring it. They'll put veteran on your license. That would help us some places too. You also, if you have a disability letter, sometimes they give you discounts on your property taxes and stuff like that too. So.
Excellent. And how would people learn about these discounts? Is that a bit of a mystery, or is it posted somewhere?
Usually if a restaurant or home improvement store. We'll use that. Officer discount, usually they put it in the window, or it's advertised that they give veterans, discounts. There's not really a good list, or at least I haven't found one. There might be one. But for your discount in your property taxes, you can come see me, go see your assessor.
And that's in our town?
In your town.
East Longmeadow has a discount for veterans on property taxes.
On some, not all.
On some.
You gotta qualify.
See, that's why we need you, Jason. I don't know.
So yeah, it's a process. You got to apply, and then they apply it for next year's taxes. But there's certain guidelines you have to follow.
And am I right in assuming that's for low-income veterans?
Not just low-income veterans.
Not just.
Would put it that way.
Mm-hmm. And you, as our VSO, serve all veterans, not just low-income veterans.
Correct. I serve all veterans in my 3 communities. And even if you're not in my community, if you call me, your uncle's in New York, and you have a question, hey, I think he's disabled. I'm not sure. What's his PACT Act? I can't explain it to him. Can you give me some forms to fill out or have him fill out? Or, hey, I need information on it. I can print out the information, give it to the family member. They can give it to the veteran, and they can make an informed decision together. And if they need advice, I can reach out for them.
You bring up a great point, Jason. Caregivers may also use your service and may be caring for veterans and be able to take advantage of this wonderful resource.
And Jason, you had, that's the second time that you had mentioned the PACT Act, and I know that that's fairly recent, is it not?
Yes.
So could you talk a little bit about the PACT Act?
Yes. The PACT Act is pretty much, it depends what war you were in, but it's different herbicides and chemicals they sprayed. If you were served at, say, Vietnam during this time frame, and you possibly could have been exposed to Agent Orange, there's dates, there's conditions that they list that says you have it. If you have these conditions, you might be able to apply for it, and you would get that disability benefit from the VA.
Thank you.
But it's not just, it's Korea, it's Gulf War, just burn pits in the Gulf War. There's the new AFFF for the Navy boot camp. There's different programs that pop up all the time. So just because you don't qualify for one program at this time, keep checking back, because things change all the time.
Now, I know in our town, on Tuesday morning, you have coffee with friends. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because that's part of your job. It's not really coffee with friends.
It's coffee with the veterans. It's whoever wants to show up. It's at the senior center from 10 to 11. We go through a array of topics. Some are military related. Some are not military related. It's just a great way to get out of the house, communicate, and talk to other veterans. Next year, my goal is to have a different topic once a month and call in someone, either from the Vet Center, from Veterans Inc., just different groups to come in and pick a topic, get it advertised, and if you want to come for it, you're more than welcome to show up. It's like coffee and snacks, we'll call it. And
I hear it's pretty good pastry.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. But like I said, it's an array of topics. It could be the week before was about property taxes. I just printed out a bunch of stuff, gave it to the veterans in town. Some qualified, some didn't. There was no sweat off them. We were there anyways. This week we talked about pretty much little military stuff, but it was more how elderly people are getting phone calls and trying to get money. Yeah, scams. We'll call it scams. Scams is a good way to put it, but trying to solicit money from the elderly people. So we just talk an array of topics. So
absolutely. And it's also important, even if a veteran doesn't qualify for X, in daily life, they'll run into other veterans and they can share that information. And so your work is spread throughout. They're sort of your ambassadors in the community and talk to Jason. Maybe this would apply to you also.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's time well spent.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming today. It is a pleasure to meet you and hear about all that you're doing. You are a great resource for our town.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and we thank you for your service here in town and to our country, being in the Coast Guard. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Okay, Mary, I think that we are all set for today. Thanks again, Jason, for being here. That wraps up another episode of Stories from the View. We'd like to thank Jason Burgener for being here. He's our Veteran Service Officer here in East Longmeadow and in Hampden and in Wales. The Stories from the View podcast is available on the LCAT 01028 channel on YouTube and on Spotify. If you have a story you'd like to share on the program, contact Pleasant View Senior Center Director Erin Kobler by stopping by the Pleasant View Senior Center. You can call Erin at 413-525-5436, extension 1401, or you can send her an email at erin.kobler@eastlongmeadowma.gov. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Stories from the View.